Hello comic fans, here's Earl Grey. A lot has changed since I started my channel with a little video about my collection way back then. It's Penology 000. Obviously I have bought a lot of books in the meantime, and we moved, and in particular my collection moved from a small niche in a cellar into these two rooms here. I know it looks a bit bigger in the older videos, but it was actually just a small niche. Now I have so much space that I even have empty shelves again, which is great. Obviously, I'm still rearranging and rethinking how I place these books in which shelves, so everything is a bit fluid. But on the other hand, I'm pretty satisfied as far as I have sorted them out, and I wanted to show you that right now. So when I move over to my the shelf on my left-hand side, we have old books like sort of comics from Wilhelm Busch, historic books about historic cartooning, some exhibition catalogs, Don Rosa, Karl Barks, my German translations of all the Karl Barks duck stories. Here's some kind of logical break, because here I have my Mignolaverse books, as you can see, and Kabuki. Super Weird Hero, some other stuff from Yo, Ditko, collections with Ditko comics, with art books, anthologies, a mixed bag of kind of stuff. Down there we have 2000 AD and my single issues here that come monthly, and I put them away in this fashion here until I know where I put them into my shelves. I used to squeeze them between the other books here. I'm not so much a bag and border guy. And down there I have 2000 AD magazines. Not the oldest ones because they're too expensive, but my earliest issue, 2000 AD one, is 150. Actually, here it is, and it looks pretty rugged, but it has Brian Bolland art on newsprint and in sort of oversize, and the printing quality is better than in the later collections of 2000 AD that I have shelved over there. And of course you should have this one here, and here we have a lot of magazines and a bit more 2000 AD and some doubles of 2000 AD that I want to sell on eBay. And now I want to show you what I have there. Here it's this small pathway is the way how you come into my room. And here we have, for the most part, Batman, Absolute Editions with a bit of Frank Miller, Ronan, Sin City, and my king-size Kirby throning over there against a side of Snoopy. And over there on top I have Donald Duck as Phantomias. And here Darwin Cook's Batman. So down there we have even more Batman and other superheroic stuff. And my strange collection of different versions of The Killing Joke. Down there, Preacher and more Garth Ennis stuff, and a bit of Marvel down there. Yeah, my Marvel collection is not that impressive, I'm afraid. And it's a bit hard to record here all this, but here we have my Batman collections, Archives and Golden Age Omnibuy, and World's Finest, and The Brave and the Bold. Some showcases in between. I always dig these to get a black and white fix. some of the Omnibuy collections of Nightfall and Batman 66 and Neil Adams and so on. Wonder Woman, the Golden Age Omnibuy. I think for volume 4 I will wait a bit until this gets a bit cheaper. Now it's they want more than 120 euros for it, and this is a bit steep. So, and right in front of my door of this room here, we have the archives from DC on the top. As you can see here, from Doom Patrol, All-Star, Seven Soldiers of Victory, Challenges. These are... I bought these on occasion when they were cheap somewhere. And even the Doom Patrol ones, which I really love, they were at half price or so, if I remember correctly. More superhero stuff from Planetary to Copra, with a bit Suicide Squad in between. Grant Morrison's Zenith, and a lot more Grant Morrison here. I hope you can see this. It's really hard to film in this small way here. But as you can see, I'm a big fan of Grant Morrison, and of Grant Morrison-like craziness, like from these comics written by Gerard Way, this Young Animal line. And here we have again older Grant Morrison and what sort of continued his run, Animal Man, Birds of Prey down there, lots of Wonder Woman stuff. And some Batgirls and Batwoman and Supergirl. Sort of my Super Women, Supergirls section here. And a bit of Madman, Demo, Black Beetle, Power Girl, Omega. So... yeah, I could think of other possibilities to rearrange these, for sure. On the opposite side, we have a lot of Yo books with reprints from old material and from Dark Horse and so on. The Vampirella archives and Showcase Presents and Marvel reprints in black and white. So this is a bit more my horror part of my collection here, with Walking Dead, Revival, Harrow County, and some zombie stuff in the middle, The Goon, The Outcast, and more in that vein. Hellblazer, Swamp Thing, Lovecraft books. And here are a lot of unassorted comics from a Free Comic Book Day and other occasions that don't fit in elsewhere. So, but now into the main room. Here I have a poster from the Donaldists, some kind of goofy scholars of Duckburg, the German version of Duckburg, and they study the old Karl Barks books like they are sacred texts. So this is my main room with an old painting of mine over there, but actually I don't know what I will put there in this space eventually. In the back of the room, for the most part, there are my European comics. Over there is my Love and Rockets collection. Down there, my American Undergrounds. On the right-hand side, graphic novels. Down there, here, Fumetti. And over there, you will see this all in a second, are some other collections. Starting with some other collections. because here there are the huge books, over there are the pretty huge books, and start with them. We have The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the Artist Edition or Graffiti Absolute Edition, or however it was called. Absolute Promethea, Alex Toth, Gary Panther, and Shaky Kane, Captain Easy, and queuing into Buzz Sawyer here, Milton Caniff's Terry and the Pirates, Steve Canyon, and other war comics reprinted in black and white. And since the genre is a bit comparable, there are my Western comics and my weird Western comics as sixth gun. On shelf beneath we have the EC Library edition in slipcases. Wicked and Divine, Umbrella Academy, the Sandman collection with the old German translations, and the floppies and stacks here, and in one of these IKEA boxes. Behind them a bit more Alan Moore comics in absolute format and before Watchmen. So once again, here I have the shelf with my hugest books, with Chris Ware, Daniel Klaus, Michael Allred, and a lot of Batman artist editions. So, and over there is my shelf with the tiny ones, with the tiny books. Wait, the lighting is not so good here. Here's my shelf with my little books. Fumetti on that side here, and books that just fit in because of their size on that side here. And in terms of fumetti, I have the German translations of Dylan Dog, and some Italian sort of originals as well down there. Here in this shelf I have books that I just put in there because of their landscape format, so it's a really mixed bag of stuff. And books that are there because they're pretty small as well. So, since we were in Italy right now, why not change to the rest of Europe in my collection? And this is the stuff over here, over there, over there, and over there. These here are Anglo-American comics, but right now to the European stuff. And this is my sci-fi shelf, starting in the top shelf with classic stuff, heavy metal, the German heavy metal, Druyé, Luc Arion, a lot of stuff from the Yodaverse with the Incal, and a bit of Möbius in between, inside Möbius. I have more Möbius over there for some reason, as you may guess. My Skeuten collection, Valerian et Veronique, Serpieri, and a whole shelf full of Don Lawrence here, Storm and Trigan, and a bit of some other sci-fi stuff. And down there more mixed European sci-fi comics. So, and on the right hand side it's more a mix of different genres that are not sci-fi and not Western and not so much about history. So a lot of magic, weird magic stuff from Andreas, with Rourke and Capricorn, Dieter Lump. A lot of faves actually here on this shelf. And on this shelf here we have Thorgal and some other stuff from Roginski, including the life and times of Schninkel, or how it is called, and some shelf to put some books and magazines in between, and a lot of underground black and white stuff from Germany for the most part, and more mainstream Belgian, Franco-Belgian cartoony stuff, and Ligne Claire stuff, and some old-fashioned European albums. Speaking of old-fashioned, down there we have the January Jones books that I've talked about in a video from Eric Heuvel, Buck Danny from Victor Huguenon, and Dan Cooper books. These are books about the adventures of pilots, very much inspired by the old Milton Caniff comics. And continuing with the next shelf. On the upper part here we have a lot of books from Spanish, Italian and Argentinian creators who have a bit of the same vibe to them. I don't know if this is really true, but this is just the way I feel right now, so I did it this way. This is a little collection of books from Daniel Torres, Juan Munoz, Carlos Trillo, Hector Germán Osterheld, and Alberto Breccia, of course. Down there we have more of the Italians, especially Guido Crepax and Mattotti, Lorenzo Mattotti, of course, a lot of him here. And here we have a bit of a French section in the middle with Louis Tull. And yeah, down there it's my section with Western comics. And of course we have a lot of Möbius in it. And there are some oversized books of Möbius and his collection of heavy metal with, to be honest, for the most part sci-fi material. So it actually should have been put over there in the other shelf. But what can you do? Nothing is perfect in this. It's always rearranging and re-putting these books here. So it's not only Western comics, but some adventure comics in the middle. But it's your job to spot them, I think. The next shelf is an interesting one because it relates to the fact or the observation that a lot of European comics have a particular historic background. I'll talk about this for sure in a future video, but here we have books like Tunga, which has a background in the Stone Age, about books that deal in Roman and ancient Roman times or medieval times, and so on and so forth. And so it goes through all the ages of humankind, so to speak, with comics, which is very fine. These books here over there are, of course, belong to my Western comics collection over there. But now, believe it or not, this is my last shelf with European comics. These are my European crime comics. And yeah, you can see for yourself a lot of Jeff Jordan, Jackie Kotwitz, Rick Master or Ricochet in the French original version, 13, of course, Bruno Brazil, and my Jacques Tardy books, very important, of course. And here are some loose anthologies with crime books. Actually, I've cheated a bit because over there are some old European albums as well, a lot with espionage and crime as well, and my pretty tasteless wax skull. So here are two shelves of Anglo-American comics. Dr. Seuss looks upon them. On the right side we have sci-fi comics. On the top these are more the classic ones like Adam Strange, Beyond Mars, Starhawks and so on. And here we have Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, Aliens. Down there, Ex Machina, The Starman Omnibuy, a lot of other stuff like Prison Pit or my Feral Dalrymple books, East or West, Terminal City, the Milligan and McCarthy book, the K-Fabers have spoken recently about for very good reasons. Kaiju Max, Low, Black Science, Fear Agent, DMZ. And last but not least, on the lowest board of the shelf, more recent comics, but interesting ones. From Punk Rock Jesus over to Lazarus, Casanova, Manhattan Project, some comics from Brandon Graham and James Tocco, over to Saga and Paper Girls, and squeezed in between some floppies like Murder Falcon. Here are the single issues. On the left-hand side, sort of the same scheme, but with crime comics. At the top, Dick Tracy, Miss Fury, the German reprints of Rip Kirby, some European album collections of American comics, the Brubaker Phillips stuff here, From Hell, smaller crime books, Alex Toth, The Punisher, Sculpt, 100 Bullets, Queen and Country, Stumped Down. The books from Matt Kindt, that have always with some weird espionage angle to them. Deadly Class, beautiful books, of course, Paul Pope. And down there some other favorites of mine, Stray Bullets, of course, and Northlanders and Humans, and so on. Right on top of the shelf were the European crime comics that I've shown you before. There's my collection with Richard Corbin comics, and right beside them a shelf with Love and Rockets on top. Two shelves with Love and Rockets here, and Man Thing. I'm not the biggest fan of these pop thingies, but this one I had to have. These are the collected editions of Love and Rocket stories or related material. And down there as well, of course, with the artist edition of the Jaime comics here. And a bit, or more than just a bit, of Peter Bagg right right behind it. Then we have Robert Crumb and Jeff Darrow and Bill Griffith and Charles Burns, of course. Daniel Klaus, Johnny Ryan, other good underground stuff from Adrian Tomine and Jeff Jones and others. Not to forget S. Clay Wilson, of course, and my underground anthologies from Germany, which I do like a lot because they're really goofy and strange. So, what have I forgot now? Here are my mini comics from Fantagraphics. These collections are very recommended. And of course my Kush minis and the anthologies from Kush that I store over there. One shelf or two shelves to go. Depends how you count them too here. Here are some books about comic art or certain artists or certain publishers. And this starts here, my small but I hope interesting collection of mangas. I'm still not the most avid manga reader, I have to tell you, for certain reasons that I try to explain in a future video. And on the right hand side we have a lot of graphic novels, and this is really a mixed bag, if there ever was one. Yeah, standalone books, sometimes assorted by a certain creator, sometimes not, sometimes by a publisher. For instance, I have put side aside a lot of Koyama books or holopress books down there. Or no brow press books, as you can see here. Yeah, take this video just as a little overview, and I will take my time in the future to put out these books here shelf by shelf and talk a bit more thorough about these. And I hope just hope that I haven't forgot a shelf. So, thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.